Hi, I'm not Jason, but this is still the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. And on today's show, myself and Greg Boysen are going to look at the Western Conference and see if the Blackhawks have improved enough to contend for a playoff spot and if any teams are going to fall off. Plus, we might talk about Artyom Levshunov and his strawberry shortcake. More on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast right now. Welcome in to the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. My name is Mario Tirabassi. I am joined by Greg Boysen. Sarah is running the show today. Jay and Chloe are off at Lollapalooza. I don't know who they're seeing. I don't even know who's playing Lollapalooza. Can you guys fill me in?
The Lord is playing.
The Lord?
The Lord.
Like sign of the cross,
like
Lord?
Savior?
No, her name is Lord.
Oh, I know Lord.
That's one of the ones
she'll be there.
That's one of
Who
the
calls
acts
her
I've
the
actually
Lord? I've never heard that before.
That's one of the acts I've actually heard of. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
who
Yeah,
that is.
I think Jay's taking his daughter for the first time.
Jay is in the dad section of
Jay's at
Lollapalooza.
Kids Palooza, and
Kids
Chloe's
Palooza?
probably at Perry's or something.
Ah, okay.
Probably,
well,
yeah.
they're not here, and we are for you, the fans.
I would rather be talking about hockey than being at Lollapalooza right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, right now it's hot, sunny.
And too many people.
Get to the evening. It'll be
too
a lot
many
better.
people that are way too young to hang out with these
Are there
days.
any acts that you are like, yes, I would definitely go see if it wasn't Lollapalooza?
Probably not. No. I mean, I know the only one other was like big, band from like our era is Smashing Pumpkins, but it's like, been there, done that.
Yeah, you've seen
kind
them.
of not,
Charlie XCX is there.
Okay.
Also, Tate McRae is there. That's hockey related.
Oh, that is hockey related.
Yeah, she's headlining, I
Cool.
believe,
That's pretty
on
cool.
Friday.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will not be there, but that's
that
cool.
means Jack Hughes will no longer be there, right? Didn't they break up?
Did they?
I thought
I don't
saw.
know.
I don't know. I'm not.
I
up
haven't
on
been
that.
following the hot gossip.
No. Somebody will let us know.
Yeah,
if
someone
Jack Hughes will
find
be.
that out for us. But you're not here for Lollapalooza talk. You're here for Blackhawks talk because it is July 30th and it's the hottest news cycle that there's ever been for the Chicago Blackhawks. But Greg and I today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Western Conference, looking at teams that added, teams that subtracted, teams that got better, teams that got worse. There's been a couple metrics on how you evaluate that. I know, Greg, you're a very big proponent of the eye test. I think I go a little bit more towards the analytical side. I got some charts here we can talk about.
I don't poo-poo analytics.
No, of
they
course
definitely
not.
serve a purpose, but like to me, you can't just go all one way or the other. You got to
Right.
have a little bit of both. Your charts can tell you all you want to see, but that is not always how it works out.
My charts keep me warm at night.
There you go. And I think, we kind of sort of talked a little bit about this with Petey the other day where,
Yes.
if the Blackhawks truly feel they're going to be a playoff team this year, that means someone else has to come out.
Right, because you're not going to
and who's that
automatically
going to be?
get 30 points out of nowhere.
Right. Like they're going to need some help with some teams that were in the playoffs last year, not as good this year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be some other teams that were not in the playoffs last year that are going to make the push too. There's going to be some so there's always a couple swaps. It's not always the same 8 teams every year. I mean, last year I think was crazy. Was it like 9 out of 16 teams?
It was a big changeover.
I mean, you didn't have
Buffalo
the
and Anaheim and
the defending Stanley Cup champion and the defending President's Trophy winners were both missed the playoffs last year. So it was crazy.
Yeah.
So you got to expect, the Maple Leafs didn't make the playoffs last year, which is unexpected, and
Washington fell short.
yeah, and like you had the Flyers and the Penguins. I don't think anybody picked those teams.
No, at the beginning of last season, the only team that was going to be tanking was the Penguins.
Right.
And then they go to the playoffs.
Right.
So, yeah, it's really hard to, like, predict these things now. But I think pretty much the dust is settled of the offseason. We were kind of talking about before the show, like, have there been any big trades or any acquisitions or anything like that have really moved too many needles? And outside of Patrick Kane going to Chicago, like, there really hasn't been that much since the first week of July.
I mean, with Jason Robertson staying in Dallas, that kind of, will Marchenko get moved before training camp starts?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I don't know. If you listen to certain people, yeah, it's going to happen. If you listen to other people, it's not going to happen. Like,
yeah.
The only other one that could affect the Blackhawks directly is, do the Winnipeg Jets trade Connor Hellebuyck? That's been, in the rumor mill. We'll talk about Winnipeg specifically here in a few minutes. But other than that, I think it's pretty much done. The off season, you never know what might happen. If there's going to be any moves, I think it'll be much closer to the start of training camp,
right? Yeah,
or even in training camp if a team gets a couple of bad injuries out of the gate. Maybe they get desperate and make a move. But for the most part, this off season is done.
Most teams are who they're going to be. With that in mind, two of the metrics that I'm going to look at to kind of look at this conversation, and we're going to focus specifically just on the Western Conference because that's what affects the Blackhawks and their playoff chances, Central Division and Pacific Division. Dom Lucian about 2 weeks ago put out his annual off-season which teams improved the most list. This was prior to the Blackhawks signing Patrick Kane, so I think we've kind of mentioned this list a little bit since Kane getting added and how it would kind of bump the Blackhawks up. But he has the most improved team this offseason currently as the Nashville Predators with a plus 27 net change. And he has the least improved, or team that got the worst, to be the Buffalo Sabres at a negative 15 net rating based off of the guys in and out. So why don't we start right there, right at the top of the list with the Nashville Predators. Notably, players that they lost, Eric Haula, Zach Leheroux, and Fedor Svechkov, adding, notably, Maverick Bourque, Ross Colton, Jack Drury, Nils Hoglander, and Alex Kerfoot. Now, if you look at that,
they got Ilya Lyubushkin, too.
And Lyubushkin.
In that same trade with that. Basically, their new general manager, Chris McFarland, raided the pantry of the Central Division.
Wanted all his guys.
And also took a lot from Dallas and Utah. So, he raided the pantry of the Central Division and, made that a much deeper team. I don't know how much better, but deeper.
And to Dom's credit, as if you read the article, the reason that they're the most improved by this metric is the players that they added are all bottom six guys for this roster. Maverick Bourque, you could probably say, could be a second liner, could be a little bit higher in the lineup, but Colton, Drury, Hoglander, Kerfoot, like those are bottom six forwards, but they're replacing guys that were playing above their skis. Right. So Dom points that out, and I feel like that's where the biggest net positive comes from. But if I'm looking at Nashville, even improving the bottom of your lineup, I still don't look at Nashville and say they're a playoff team.
No, because the top of the lineup is still kind of meh. I mean, You're relying on the same three veterans, in Marchessault, Stamkos, and O'Reilly to
Philip Forsberg.
Yeah, Philip Forsberg. Yeah. I mean, Philip Forsberg is a all-star. He's their best player. There's no doubt about that. But Marchessault's been a big disappointment since being there. Stamkos started off super slow, had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
But if those veterans outside of Forsberg struggle, they're going to have, a lot of problems trying to score goals.
I mean, the guys you're mentioning, Stamkos, 36, Marchessault, 35, Ryan O'Reilly, 35, Roman Josi, is still one of the best defensemen in the NHL, but 36. Like those are some aging players on your team. And as far as like the young guys coming up behind him,
Saros isn't exactly a kid anymore either.
31. Yeah. Like if you're talking about like who's going to come up behind them and kind of be that recycling, like reloading, like you brought in Jack Drury, he's in his mid-20s. Maverick Bourque is 24. You've got some good young players. Matthew Wood is there. But I just don't see the huge difference maker for this group. I feel like they're still going to be probably in that 80-point range, which muddies up that wild card race if you're talking about the Blackhawks.
They had 86 points last year. I think they'll, even with all this additions and according to Dom, improvement.
Yeah.
I still think they'll probably be right around there again this year. I just don't know. I don't trust their goal scoring. And in this division, in the Central, when you look at the top of that division, I don't see a lot of movement, from Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So now you got to deal with, the wild card, which is, where the Blackhawks will have to be.
Right.
And it's just tough because, as we'll go through the list, the Central Division is no joke. I mean, and Nashville could have 83, 84 points and finish in last place. The Hawks could improve by another 10 12 points and still be last in the division. Still finishing last.
Yeah.
It's possible when you look at the rest of this division.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned Winnipeg, right? 2 years ago, President's Trophy winners. Then this past season, fall short of the playoffs with 82 points. You had Jonathan Toews around for the good vibes and the good story, but he was expecting to go on a run for his last hurrah, and they fall short of the playoffs. According to Dom, they have a +8 net rating, which makes them the 7th most improved team this season. Again, out is Jonathan Toews, Gustav Nyquist, Jacob Bryson, Eric Comrie, and they brought in Cole Kopke, Mario Ferraro, and Stuart Skinner. So, again, we'll see what happens with Hellebuck, but this is...
Viggo Bjork might be there this year. He signed his entry-level deal. So
that's true. That's an interesting wrinkle.
That could be a good little youth injection there. I don't know if he's going to play for the Moose or the Jets or both.
He could do. He could go to the AHL because he's coming from Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think... he's in a really good situation to make an NHL roster right off the bat because they could use a guy like that. Mm-hmm. And when you have a team that your best 2 players are veterans, Mark Scheifele, to me, Mark Scheifele is one of the most underrated players in all of hockey. The dude just produces year in, year out, but doesn't get the accolades because he's playing in Winnipeg. If Mark Scheifele had spent the last decade of his career on the Toronto Maple Leafs, he'd be a household name and an all-star, but he's playing in Winnipeg. He doesn't get that. And Kyle Connor, again, another super underrated player because the Jets just don't get a ton of national attention. We know these guys well because we're in the division but you add Bjork to those guys, but because those 2 guys are there and they're still very productive. Connor is in the prime of his career.
Yeah, he's 29.
And Scheifele, he's on the other side of 30, but he's still, you could almost pencil him in for 30 goals a season. I mean, he's that good.
Well, they're still banking on those 2 guys.
But with those 2 guys, that takes pressure off of Bjork. He doesn't have to come in and be the savior. He can kind of play a secondary role until he gets his feet wet if he makes the team. But I really like that addition. I think that could give them a little bit of a boost. And I expect the Jets to, be back to President's Trophy contention? No. But do I think they're going to be an 82-point team again? No. I think they'll be in the thick of the race. Especially if Hellebuck is there.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me.
Hellebuck has his head on straight and plays, the way he did 2 years ago. He won the Hart and the Vezina in the same season because, he was the biggest reason that team was a President's Trophy winner. There was no doubt about that. Everybody in that room would have told you, he's the biggest reason. And you need him to be good because if he isn't, you got to rely on Stuart Skinner, and we know that's not a good recipe for success.
Yeah, I feel like with Hellebuyck, like I know a lot of the noise has been like, was he going to go to Buffalo? I feel like if I'm Winnipeg and I'm making that trade, I want like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen to come back the other way, because you need, if you're losing Hellebuyck and your replacement is Stuart Skinner, that's an easy way to get fired. That's not good.
That's a big time downgrade. Like if you're going to, if you're tearing it down and rebuilding, fine, you go that way. But you didn't.
They're not set up to rebuild.
No, you didn't sign Mark Scheifele for 7 years. 2 years in, they're going, just kidding, we're tearing it down.
Right.
And I know Kyle Connors has got a big contract too. So
Kyle Connor is signed through 2034. Scheifele is signed through 2031. And Adam Lowry, is their captain, is also signed through 2031.
Yeah, they're not. They rebuilding.
Did good business with Cole Perfetti and Gabe Vilardi. But again, this is the group. This is the Jets. Like maybe they add Bjork to the mix, and that's good. But this is mostly what that team is going to be. That's the guys that they've banked on. The biggest thing for me is Hellebuyck. What does he do? And that's going to be the biggest.
And
factor.
Josh Morrissey. If Josh Morrissey's healthy,
yeah,
he's had issues staying on the ice, and he is another super underrated player, but a dynamic player on the back end. If he's healthy and Hellebuyck is, close to that 2 years ago form, the Jets can definitely push for a playoff spot.
I think Winnipeg does push again. So as we're looking at it right now in the Central, Nashville probably around the same result as last year. Winnipeg goes up. It's looking hard for the Blackhawks. We'll finish out the Central Division on the other side of the break. This is the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your baseball season. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping with a crazy selection of over 100 strains to choose from, with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit, as confusing as that can be. You can also check out their Good News Tea Time Vape. It's a lemonade flavor vape, so it should go perfectly with an Arnold Palmer on the golf course. And you can get on the golf course with us out at Cog Hill, August 28th. Check it out, allchgo.com/events. Head to Sunnyside's website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Use the code HICHGO, that's HICHGO, when you check out. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun, only for those 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders. And I know it's Thursday, but I'm going to write a little letter here. Dear Friday, Toyota says, let's put good times in gear with the Tundra, Tacoma, and 4Runner. If you want some cool available features, they've got power tailgates to power game days. Speaking of tailgates, Bears tailgates. Come out this season. I'm just promoting everything this ad break. And a backup trailer for Toyota that can guide you to be the champ of the ramp. And Toyota, they might even go out there and cancel Mondays. Do they have that power, Sarah? I don't know. Maybe. I hope they do, because no one likes Mondays. Toyota trucks. Toyota Let's Go places. Check them out with the all-new Tundra, Tacoma, and 4Runner models. And make sure that you fill up that tailgate for the summer. Hey, speaking of our golf outing, those Toyota tailgates can carry a lot of golf bags, so you and your foursome get out to Cog Hill. And we're back on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast, ripping through the Central Division. We've talked about Nashville. We've talked about Winnipeg, trying to see where the Blackhawks can make some moves in the standings. Another Central Division team that fell just short of the postseason with 86 points last year, your friend and ours, the St. Louis Blues, who, according to Dom's rankings here, which you can find at The Athletic, finished 24th this offseason in the improvements. They had a net rating of -7, notably losing Jordan Kyrou and Jonathan Drouin, but adding Mason McTavish, Connor McMichael, Brandon Carlo, also Ross Johnston. Man, the Blues just always seem to be right there in the middle. Like, I really don't know. Man, I like the McTavish ad, But I don't know if you look at that with the loss of Kyrou and say like you come out positively. I think losing Kyrou is a big loss for them.
You got McTavish and McMichael. So
yeah,
I think
I do like Connor McMichael.
I think the two of those guys, those two guys added to your mix not only makes you younger, but I think I would rather have Mason McTavish and Connor McMichael than Jordan Kyrou. I think over the course of 84 game season, you're better off.
Yeah.
This is where like Dom's formula gets a little wacky for me because I look at the Blues and I think they at least stayed the same. I don't think they got worse. Yeah, Kyrou is a good player, but as just said, you got guys to replace him. Mm-hmm. I mean, Brandon Carlo is kind of but if he's your third pairing guy, you're okay there.
Probably is.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think they got worse. I think if anything, maybe they got a hair better, at least kind of even keel there. Mm-hmm. But again, they're a team that's always kind of hard to figure out. Every season, it seems that you write them off and say, no way this team's making the playoffs. They make the playoffs. Right. And then when you pick them to make the playoffs, they don't. Jim Montgomery, he had that bounce. He gave him that bump when he got hired mid-season a couple years ago. And then last year, all of a sudden, he wasn't the genius everybody thought he was. It's funny how that works. Yeah, they've got goaltending issues. You don't know. They've been trying to trade Jordan Binnington all summer, and most people are like, "Yeah, we're good." Jordan Binnington has shown that when he is good, he's really good. But he's also shown when he's not, it's bad.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they want to go through another roller coaster season like that. The whole reason we're having this discussion in this division, you can't
sacrifice
to have a 2-3 week stretch where your goaltender is letting every beach ball get in behind him.
I feel like they're probably going to give Joel Hofer more work than they did last season and probably start to kind of maybe transition out of Binnington. Like you said, like they've kind of been trying to move him. It's funny, you kind of mentioned a little bit of a flaw with Dom's model. Bench rates, which factors contribution differential based off of financial contribution. They have the Blues as the 9th most improved team with a positive 1.03 million added in dollar value for contribution, right behind the Blackhawks, which they were pre-Patrick Kane, 1.9 million added in contribution. So again, the 9th most improved team based off of that. So again, like you're saying at the start of the show, analytics aren't everything. The two models have them at complete opposites of the range.
That's why I'm just kind of like I take all these with a grain of salt because like everybody can factor in whatever they want for their models. To me, I look at the roster and I think the Blues got a little bit better. Mm-hmm. As I said, I'd rather have McTavish and McMichael than just Jordan Kyrou. Like if that was the trade, those two guys for Jordan Kyrou, everybody would have been like, wow, the Blues just pulled off a big time deal. Yeah. Like I really like Connor McMichael a lot. I think he's going to, unfortunately, because he's on the Blues now, I think he's really going to take a step and become a really good player there. And now you kind of got all that distraction. Is Robert Thomas getting traded? No. So that's off the table. He can look to bounce back. Colton Parayko is staying. They know all this now, so I look for them to be right in the thick of it in that wild card race for the year. I don't think they're good enough to get there, but as we know,
they'll be close.
Hockey is a weird sport, and I just said I don't think they're going to make it, which means they're totally going to make it now.
Well, a team that did make it last year as the number 1 wild card, they came out of the Central Division, the Utah Mammoth, formerly the Arizona Coyotes. They had 92 points last year. According to Dom's model, they ranked 10th as most improved with a net rating of +2. They did lose J.J. Peterka, Alex Kerfoot, Sean Dursey, Vitek Vanasek, and Ian Cole, newest Blackhawk. But they did add young goaltender Sebastian Cossa, Anders Lee, and Vincent Trocheck. You can also throw in Andrew Peak and Joshua Waugh as some of their notable additions as well. I think Utah having been the Coyotes and on the upswing, and then becoming the Mammoth and continuing that upswing, I think they're a team that the Blackhawks have been kind of compared to in the fact that like the rebuild and the timeline is about a year or two behind. But they're one of those teams that I think they're getting better. They've already got a good established core of young players with Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller, Dylan Guenther. Like they're set up to be really good. I could see Utah being in the conversation of one of the top 3 teams in the Central, challenging Minnesota, Dallas, and Colorado for one of those spots, and not necessarily having to be in the wild card race.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think they're an exciting team. They bring in Vincent Trocheck, who, we talked about how underrated Mark Scheifele is. I think Vincent Trocheck's a tad bit overrated. Like if he was this great player, why is he on a different team every 2 years? But whatever. That's just me. But he's a good player, and he's definitely going to add
Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, right? Sure. And Anders Lee, we that's Jay's guy. He's
white whale.
He's been around, the league forever, and he gets to come to a team that's a wee bit more exciting than what he's been used to playing for the Islanders. Mm-hmm. So those are 2 solid. You're adding 2 experienced veterans to a up and coming team. You had to give up Sean Durzi to get Trocheck. I really like Sean Durzi. I'm glad he's no longer in the Central Division or the Western Conference for that matter. Yeah. He's a pain in the ass to play against. I think they're going to look back at that JJ Peterka trade and regret it. Not the one they just made. The original one they did them, because they gave up Michael Kesselring and Josh Doan, and to get him.
The Doan losses.
Kesselring.
He's okay.
He's right. In San Jose now. I mean, Buffalo traded him after a year, but he was hurt a lot last year. I think imagine how excited you'd be about the Mammoth if Josh Doan was still in that lineup, because that kid is a budding star. So they got 1 year of Peterka for Doan. I mean, they got a couple of first-round picks this year, but those, as we know, that's not a guarantee for anything. I'd rather have Josh Doan.
Yeah, and they're a contending team. Like they're a playoff contending team now. So first-round picks are nice, but when you're in that mode, you're using them as trade pieces. But I feel like Utah is going to be a team that the Blackhawks are. They're not going to be trying to keep pace with. And they've got, Logan Cooley through 2034, Nick Schmaltz through 2034. They signed Dylan Guenther through 2033. Like I said, you got Keller on the books. They did match the offer sheet for Barrett Hayton, so they keep him around. And the defensive core is locked up as well. Sergachev through 2031, Mackenzie Weegar through 2031, and John Marino, who they extended through 2035. I don't think you needed to do that.
No, you didn't.
But they did it, and he's fine. He's a fine middle defenseman. But this is the group that they have, and I feel like it's going to be a group that is going to be in that playoff contention for a little while. Like especially if you're banking on Keller, who's 28, Gunther's 23, Cooley's 22. Like those guys are entering their prime. Cooley, Keller's already there. Like. It's a very good team.
Yeah, this is, again, like you said, this is kind of a team that Blackhawk fans are hoping they're going to be here. Mm-hmm. Hoping, as early as this year, but I think they've got a little bit still to go to get to that point, but they're definitely a team that's on the rise, and it's going to be interesting to see in a couple of years, as Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota all get older. You got Utah, you got the Blackhawks coming up. Like, how does that kind of switch around? We'll see how that all pans out.
We'll talk about those top 3 teams in the Central on the other side of the break. We're going to go through Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, probably quickly because
they didn't do a whole lot.
They don't need to.
No.
They're contenders. But we'll do that on the other side of the break. This is the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. You know the moment, the one you realize you left your sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at a gas station 3 states away. We've all been there. I personally have been there. Had a pair of sunglasses tucked on my collar right here. I was tying off a boat on Fox Lake, bent down, and boom, sunglasses right to the bottom of Fox Lake. But then I found Shady Rays, and it's changed my sunglasses game. Their sunglasses are made for real life. They are seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. The best part is, if you lose or break them or drop them in Fox Lake, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trips, just replacements. So now you can actually wear your sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, at Lollapalooza. You can wear them on the boat. Wherever you need sunglasses, Shady Rays is going to be there for you. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the code CHGO50 for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. And if you're going out to Lollapalooza or a sporting event or anything that you might need a ticket for, check out our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the app that gives fans the advantage with constant innovation, and it's a great way to unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's super easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price with no surprises because fees are included. The price you see is the price you pay. And if you've never been to a venue before and you want to know what it's going to look like where you're sitting, they have the view from your seat function so you can see exactly what the game or concert or comedy show or whatever it is that you're going to go see, what it's going to look like from where you sit. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download the Game Time app today. Did you download the app? You should. We're back on this. There you go. Get ready. We're back on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. All right, wrapping up the Central Division here. As we mentioned before, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota finished in that order at the top of the Central Division 1, 2, 3 last season. I think, like I mentioned, Utah could be in the running for one of those top 3 spots, but these 3 teams are still the cream of the crop, not only in the Central Division, but I think you could make the argument for the Western Conference as well, as they were last year. Colorado, top seed in the Western Conference, 121 points. Dallas, 112 points, second seed in the Central Division and in the Western Conference. And Minnesota, third in the division, third in the conference with 104 points. Vegas was the top Pacific team with 95. Looking at Minnesota, not really having to do a whole lot to stay in that conversation. They're ranked 18th by Dom's model as a -3 net rating, losing Matt Zuccarello, Marcus Johansson, Vladimir Tarasenko, Jake Middleton, but adding Blackhawks legend Oli Mata, Maxim Shabanov, and Blake Coleman, who was somebody that I had hoped the Blackhawks might have gone after this offseason. But he ends up in Minnesota, also adding goaltender Calvin Pickard. What do you make of the Minnesota Wild?
I mean, they're going to be a good regular season team. They'll be there. I don't view them as legit Stanley Cup contenders. Even last year with all the Quinn Hughes excitement and all that stuff, I still don't think they're deep enough down the middle. They added Coleman, who, will help
it's a
in
good
that
depth move, yeah.
But Joel Harrison Eck is their best two-way center, and he's had problems, staying healthy. I think they lost more than they added. Matt Zuccarello was such an effective player for them, and Marcus Johansson and Tarasenko, veteran guys, but with who they brought in to replace them with, you're losing out. Like,
right,
you didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think you brought in enough back. Like Nick Foligno is not.
Foligno,
yeah, okay, great. Those 6 goals he's going to score are going to go a long way. Like
all the Nick and Marcus Foligno content.
Cool.
Will
the
be
social
worth
media team will be undefeated, but when it comes to winning,
hey, he's a good leader.
Sure,
He
they don't
is.
need
Yeah.
him. They don't need him to be a leader. They shouldn't have to have Nick Foligno to be a leader in Minnesota.
No.
And listen, I love Nick Foligno, but I would rather have Matt Zuccarello than Nick Foligno if I'm gonna try and make a push in this division.
Sure, yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I think your point about the center position is interesting because like you always hear like you build contenders and championship teams down the middle in hockey, and that's what the Blackhawks are trying to do, trying to set up for the long term. Bedard, Frondell, Nazar, Oliver Moore, like all in that mix. But you look at the Wild, and like Joel Eriksson-Ek is a good center, but is he a number one? Is Ryan Hartman a number one?
No.
Like, I think it could be interesting to see what Danila Yurov turns into. But is he a number one right now? No. Like it's interesting how they're set up where your top players are on the wing. But far be it from me to bet against a team that has Kirill Kaprizov and has Matt Boldy leading your offensive
They're a
charge.
very top-heavy team. There's no doubt about that. Their depth, to me, is what's going to, ultimately do them in come playoff time.
Yeah. And you got to worry about, the health and longevity of a guy like Jared Spurgeon and Jonas Brodin.
Yeah, they've had issues too. They're not getting any younger. I think they're pretty solid in net. Jasper Wallstedt had a really good season last year. You still got Philip Gustafsson there too as well.
Yeah,
so
extended him.
They're gonna, as I said, they're gonna be a really good regular season team. But come 7-game series, I don't see them getting past a round or two.
Yeah. Well, they ran into Dallas last year. They'll likely run into them either again or Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, they knocked out
teams.
Dallas this year, but then got steamrolled by the Avalanche. Mm-hmm. And then the Avalanche got steamrolled by Vegas.
That's how it goes sometimes. You mentioned before the show like the Quinn Hughes potential for extension and how it might factor in their salary cap. Just this season, though, if they don't do a Quinn Hughes extension prior to the year, that's going to loom over the team.
It's going to be a big distraction.
And that can become, as much as the players say, like, we block out the outside noise. If you're in that room and you're Quinn Hughes, and every day people are going to ask you about, your future with the team, especially on a contender.
If you don't have them extended by the time they play in New Jersey, watch out. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, that's going to be a circus.
They probably won't even open the room in New Jersey. That's. And if I'm Quinn Hughes, I'm not rushing to sign anything with Minnesota, unless he really loves it. And listen, the Twin Cities, lovely, great place to live in the summer.
It's a good hockey market.
It is, and the Wild have a really good team, but why not wait till all 32 teams can bid on your services and see where it goes? And you can then still sign with Minnesota if you love it there.
Yeah.
Why not have some options? That's all I'm saying. If I'm Quinn Hughes, that's what I'm doing. I'm waiting. I'm at least dangling the idea that I'm going to the market July 1st. Make Bill Guerin sweat it out a little bit.
Might as well. The Dallas Stars. They ranked 20th on Dom's list, a -4 in net rating. They've done almost nothing besides giving Jason Robertson a 1-year extension after all the hullabaloo about is he going to stay, is he going to go. Leaving the team is Maverick Bourque. That's not nothing. But they did bring in again Joel Kiviranta. You can also throw in Kyle Burrows and the loss of Ilya Lyubushkin from their defensive core. Dallas is who they are. For me, at least, like they're still a contending team. They're still they could win the division this year. They're built strong everywhere. I think if you didn't have Robertson, it's a different story. Yeah. But at least for this season, you have him. Again, talk about potential for distraction with Quinn Hughes in Minnesota. There's obviously already been the distraction of what Jason Robertson is going to do in Dallas. But I still look at Dallas, Rantanen, Hintz, Johnston, Duchesne, you got Harley and Heiskin. They're so solid. Ottinger and net. There's nothing telling me that they're falling out of the top 3.
Oh, no, unless they get a rash of injuries. If they stay healthy, they're going to be. They're as deep as they get, even though, they lost more than they gained this offseason. But you just list all those. I know Rupe Hintz getting hurt last year at the Olympics, was it was a big factor why they got eliminated in the first round. So getting him back and playing all season will be a big boost for them. So, yeah. And Jim Nill is a guy that has shown that come trade deadline team, if he believes his team is a contender, he'll go out and make the big move. I mean, we saw it 2 years ago when he went out and brought in Mikko Rantanen and then signed him. So, listen, Jason Robertson is going to be on a mission this year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jason Robertson, dark horse Hart Trophy contender this year, because he's going to be a UFA next year. And he wants to prove to the Stars, like, you should pay me more than Mikko Rantanen, because if not,
put the pressure on him.
Somebody else will. And this is his time.
Chicago will.
This is his time to go out there and say, I'm the guy. Yeah. Prove it.
Well, and Dallas will have likely Tyler Sagan's $9 million and change coming off the books, because I don't think he's.
No, I think
if he does come back to Dallas, it's not at that price tag, obviously.
No.
So maybe that eases the negotiations a little bit for Robertson, but yeah, if he has a season like he did last year, he's making way more than $12 million, which is what he's on the books for this year. Colorado ranked 29th out of 32 teams with a net minus 13.
I agree with that.
You lose Valeri Nikushkin, Ross Colton, and Jack Drury, but you add Jaden Schwartz, Zachary Leheroux, and Fedor Svechkov. As you mentioned before, a lot of swapping between Nashville and Colorado. I look at the Avalanche, and you still have McKinnon. You still have Makar.
There you go, Stanley Cup contender right there.
I mean,
that's all you. And you got Natchez.
You got Natchez. Landeskog's not what he used to be, but he's still serviceable. Nazem Kadri is still really good. Brock Nelson's really good. Like, there's no holes in the line.
There. Yeah, they're. I
just wonder though. Like, I feel like Colorado is a team that probably takes a step back this year, but they're still well into the 100 point in the standings range.
Yeah, I mean, even if they have 8 fewer points than last year, they'd still win the division,
right?
And the President's Trophy. Like, they had 55 wins last year. If they only have 45 this year, they're still one of the best teams in the league. I think. As long as you have McKinnon and Makar, you got a chance to win every night.
Of course.
But they showed us when those two guys aren't right, that team is in trouble, because both of those guys were far from 100% in that Minnesota series, and or I should say the Vegas series.
Right.
And
that's what did them in.
They looked like a bad hockey team in that series. Vegas just dominated them. So if I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan, my hope is that Jared Bednar took that series and learned a lesson from it to maybe don't ride those two so much during the regular season. It's okay to, maybe save them for 2-3 minutes in April and March.
Yeah.
It's okay to lose a home game to the Columbus Blue Jackets in March when you have an 8-point lead in the division. It's all right.
Right.
You don't and I know it's going to be tough to tell those guys, hey, take it easy.
Of course, yeah.
But, find ways where you don't have to play them 21 minutes a night, or in Makar's case, 24 minutes a night.
Well, those 2010s Hawks teams, late February and March,
you coast a little bit.
They weren't foot on the gas. 100%.
There was always that late February panic because the Blackhawks lost 6 games in a row because they were just like, get us to April.
Right, yeah.
Maybe Bednar takes his foot off the gas a little bit. You don't need to be the top seed. Having home ice advantage is nice, but if your top 2 horses are getting run down, it doesn't matter if you're playing on the road or at home. You're going to lose. So if I'm an Avalanche fan, which I'm not, that would be my hope that, hey, just finish in the top 3 in the division, get to the playoffs, have your top guns at full strength or as close to full strength as they can be. I like our chances.
Your plan is solid, but imagine telling Nathan McKinnon,
right,
hey, take it easy.
Well, that's probably
the guy who.
That's probably where you probably have to have a guy like Gabriel Landeskog have that conversation with him.
Yeah.
And say, listen, dude, we need you in May to be you. Yeah. So, hey, we don't need 6 points a night in March. It's okay.
The mid-January game
Yeah,
maybe against Calgary, you can kind of
skip a shift or two every night, or you have them sit out a power play. If you're up 3 goals in the third period, don't put them out on the power play.
Sure.
You don't need. There's ways that you can control this a little bit, and hopefully he learned his lesson.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Again, I feel like Colorado still is probably the top team in the Central. So as we look at Central Division. Top 3, I think between the two of us, unchanged. Match them up how you want, but I think it's still Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota.
And you can even say top 4 with Utah too. I think the top 4 will be those 4 teams in whatever order.
So Utah is likely still in that same range of the number 1 or 2 wild card. So it really comes down to, at least in the Central Division, can you, as the Blackhawks, can you get past Winnipeg, Nashville, and St. Louis? I think maybe 2 of those teams it's possible, but I don't know if the Blackhawks can really rise up the ladder that much. Would I love for them to have 90 points this year? Absolutely. But I think if you're talking about like this incremental year over year, like what we've seen the last few seasons where it's about 10, 11, 12 points, you're talking about getting to the low to mid 80s, which you still fall short. But I still feel like that's obviously an improvement. That is good, and that gives you that sense of like games in March and games in April. They matter. You're looking at the standings and you're looking to see how are we still in it? Are we still in it? And I think that makes for more exciting games at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's going to be it's a tough ask for this Blackhawks team to get into the playoffs. We've been saying that all off season. But if they're at 83, 84, 85 points, that's right there. I mean, 90 points was the last wild card team last year. So that means, maybe we had a super chat kind of talking about the same thing.
Yes.
Good.
From K Buttsack,
my guy, 88. My crypto guy, Buttsack.
Says, my hope is that they are close to a wild card spot at the trade deadline so Kyle Davidson can make moves to buy this year. That would show me the proper trajectory.
I think that's a very logical train of thought there. And I think, if this team is, say, 4 points out or less of a wild card spot at the trade deadline, then I could see Davidson rewarding this group and going out and getting something. Or maybe he says, listen, I believe in these guys. I believe in you guys. You guys got us here. Get us over the top. Right. See how that goes. But I don't see them necessarily selling anybody off unless they have another bad run of injuries.
Right.
Then maybe you move Ian Cole or you look to trade Teuvo Teravainen. You may look to trade those guys anyway just because they're
those
not
guys
needed.
On expiring deals and probably don't have a future.
Hopefully by the trade deadline, this is no offense to Teuvo Teravainen or a knock on him, but hopefully by March, he's not really needed because these young guys have taken that step and he's getting further and further down the lineup and less playing time because everybody else is playing so good. Maybe you look to move him and say, hey, we're going to give you, we're going to throw you a cookie here and put you on a playoff team as a way of thanking you for your time here. But, it's going to be tough. The Pacific Division is
we're not going to go team by team through the Pacific, but do you see a team for sure falling out of the playoffs who was there last year?
I think the easy choice is the Anaheim Ducks, just for the fact that they lost a lot. They lost 4 of their defensemen, 3 of their veteran leaders, John Carlson, Radko Gudas, Jacob Trouba, and then they traded
Owen on the right side, right?
And they traded away Owen Zellweger, and all they replaced him with was Nick Jensen.
That's not gonna do it.
You traded Mason McTavish away. Their offseason was a disaster. Let's play you got.
You still got to get Gauthier.
Yeah, and signed. So you're gonna have, 35, potentially $36 million wrapped up into 2 guys. Mm-hmm. So, they're an easy pick. The Kings, maybe. But they got Peter Laviolette, and he always seems to have a good first year with a veteran team.
Yeah.
The team that could be a complete, unadulterated disaster is the Edmonton Oilers.
They could.
They're either going to be really good or just...
for me to bet against Draisaitl and McDavid still, but That's ripe for
the Mike Babcock situation could implode at any moment.
It could.
And you don't have a goalie still. I mean, you brought in, you're going to go, Stan Bowman said out loud in public on record that he believes Tristan Jarry and his .858 save percentage is the solution to their goaltending problem.
Good luck.
They brought in Frederik Andersen, which is a sneaky good signing,
but far from
as long as you're not depending on him to be the number one guy. And then you traded for Devin Levi, who's waiver exempt. So what are you going to do? Carry 3 goalies until you figure it out, until Frederik Andersen ultimately ends up on IR, which he does every year?
Yeah, they're in a rough spot with goaltending, which is crazy because Connor McDavid has experienced that literally almost his entire career.
And the last GM was a goaltender and still never went out and got one.
No, you'd think. For me, in the Pacific, I think the team that definitely jumps into the playoffs is San Jose, as much as that might be sacrilegious to say for some Blackhawks fans. I think that they just missed out last year. I think they get in. And I agree with you. I don't think the Ducks had a good offseason at all, and they were just barely into the playoffs as the number 3 team in the Pacific at 92 points, 2 points clear of the second wild card. Like I don't know. I feel like the Ducks are primed for potential drop off here. Let's get to the Xfinity big takeaway. Xfinity. Imagine that. The big takeaway presented by Xfinity. If you missed it today, Scott Powers with The Athletic posted an article, a conversation with Artyom Levshunov. I tell you to go and check it out at The Athletic. It's really good insight.
It's a gift article, too, so you don't even have to be a subscriber. It's free to everybody.
Wow, look at that. Scott Powers, the gift that keeps on giving.
He is a man of the people and of Gibsons.
Yes. The big takeaway for me, for realsies, is just how much Levshunov has had change in his life. Not only coming over from Belarus to North America, to the States, to play in the USHL, and then the NCAA, and then the AHL, and then the NHL, which those are in all 4 different cities. And it really... The article and the conversation that Scott had with Artyom really highlights just how much change he's gone through. And Artie says like he's really had to do a lot of it alone, especially here in Chicago. Like he doesn't have his family here all that much. Like all his friends are his teammates, and you can't really hang out with your teammates all the time. So he kind of talks a little bit about like having to kind of figure out the city and do things on his own. So I my big takeaway from that is like I really think like we kind of underestimate some of the off-ice life that these guys have and how it can translate to, we've seen Artie struggle a little bit at the start of his career. I hope now he has a little bit more familiarity with not only the NHL, but the team, the organization, the people around him, the city, and he can just feel more comfortable and established through this summer, and he can hit training camp with a little bit more sense of like, okay, I belong here, both as an NHL player and as a person. Yeah,
I mean, we've talked about it a lot, about how he's had to go play in all these different leagues and all this stuff in such a short period of time. But when you actually read Scott's article and he kind of lays it out, like, I had no idea. He came to North America at 16 from Belarus and hasn't been home since.
It's crazy.
And probably doesn't want to go home because he might get drafted into the military the second he steps off the plane. Like,
I mean, it's
crazy. Like, he's seen his parents and family like maybe a handful of times since. Yeah. So imagine being 16 and going to a completely different country halfway around the world where you don't speak the language, your family is not there, you don't know anybody. It's tough, and then you're supposed to go out and be a superstar defenseman. And they mentioned in the article, too, that this was his first season where he's pretty much been on the same team the whole time. Now that he's had the 2 years with the Hawks, between Rockford and Chicago, but it was all Chicago last year. So, he was able to kind of – and he's staying here this summer. He was originally going to split time between here and Florida where he trains, but he decided to stay here. he's putting in the work. I saw him yesterday. We were at the Blackhawks Ice Center for the Upper Deck Rookie Showcase with the NHLPA, and him and Wyatt Kaiser were on the ice working out together. So,
good.
I think, people can underrate all that stuff and kind of blow it off. That's not as big a deal. But
or you don't even consider it.
Right. I mean, it's just kind of like in the same light of, Kevin Korchinski suddenly losing his dad and how that can really, for lack of a better term, screw you up. And people, that I've never had to, I lost my dad. It was expected, but it screwed me up, and I wasn't trying to make the NHL. But I can't imagine being a 16. Think of where you were at 16 and saying, okay, you're going to go around the globe with no family, no friends, you don't even know the language, and go play hockey. That's insane.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was able to keep doing it at a high level and keep advancing to the point where he was drafted second overall.
Be a top pick, and
it's remarkable. Absolutely remarkable, because I'm sure there's a lot of stories of kids that do the same thing from other countries and never even sniff getting drafted, let alone the heights he's already reached. So
yeah, for sure.
I know he gets a lot of grief because he wasn't great right out of the box, but this is,
he wasn't Ivan Demidov too.
If you can't root for this kid, he's so likable and so much fun.
He is.
If you can't cheer for him, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. I agree. There's definitely a lot to like with Artie, and on the ice, I think he's primed to take a big step this year. He talks about how self-aware he is of needing to take that step as a young player. He's also just extremely, as you said, likable. And in the article from Scott Powers, the first 2 paragraphs focus on Artie's order of a strawberry shortcake at Gibson's restaurant, and they add the image in the article. I'm gonna throw it up here on the screen. It starts with Artie didn't know how big or the strawberry shortcake was. Let me read it verbatim. Artyom Levshunov can't believe the size of the strawberry shortcake in front of him. That's the first sentence of the article. And when I scrolled down and saw Artie's strawberry shortcake, look at that. Oh my God.
That's like 7,000 calories.
Oh man. To be 20 years old and have just the metabolism and calorie burning of an NHL player. I gained
3 pounds just looking at that picture.
That is incredible. And I've never had Sarah and I were talking about this. I've never had strawberry shortcake. I'm not a big strawberry flavored person for stuff like that, but man, just how decadent that looks. I think
he ordered that after having a steak.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he went and skated it all off.
Yeah. My goodness. Well, I hope he enjoyed it. Scott says he didn't finish it, but.
Well, you mentioned, Artie's pretty much his only friends are his teammates. I am going to put this out there into the universe in case you're watching, or if somebody close to Artie is watching. I volunteer that we will adopt Artie and we'll be his friends this season.
Absolutely.
We'll take him out for all the strawberry shortcake and steaks he wants.
Sure.
He's buying.
He'll have to pay for them, yeah.
But if he wants to hang out, if he wants to, him and Roman Kantaroff want to watch Spider-Man movies, come over to my house. We'll watch all the Spider-Man and Transformer movies you want to watch.
Yeah.
We'll hang out. Come here, hang out
always
in the studio.
Always an open chair. Yeah.
Just we'll get your Bears takes, whatever you want, Artie. We'll be your friends.
Yes, we will. That was the Xfinity big takeaway presented by Xfinity. Imagine that. Well, you mentioned Kantarov. That's another guy. He's coming over from Russia and hasn't been in North America for a long time ever before, and so this will be a new experience for him. And we heard from him on yesterday's show from the Upper Deck Rookie Showcase, and him talking about training in New York and being in Chicago for a little bit. He's trying to get that familiarity, but there is still going to be that learning curve of being here and being on a new team in a new league where things are a little bit different than the KHL. And I think if there's a little bit of a slow start for him, don't be surprised.
Yeah, but I think, to what we were just talking about, I think Levshunov and Kantarov become good buddies.
I think
they're going to be They're going to be the inseparable pair. They're going to be hanging out and probably roommates on the road, and that'll be good for both of them to have,
it's good to have
somebody
a buddy.
that understands to a degree, coming from the same part of the globe, speaking the same language. I think that'll be good for both of them. I think that was a big reason why they wanted to bring back Mikheyev too.
Yeah.
But just didn't
Levshunov
work out.
and Mikheyev, we heard that they were, they would hang out a lot. And yeah, I think if you would have had him re-sign, that would have been helpful for Kanserov. But you at least have Levshunov and Kanserov together. They can kind of do that hanging out stuff. And as young guys, like it's a little bit easier to kind of connect, generationally than it is for a guy who like Mikheyev in his 30s. That'll do it for this episode of the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking. We will be back tomorrow at our normal time at 3 p.m. talking about the Athletics Blackhawks fan survey. Jay and I will go through that, so don't miss that at 3 o'clock. Everyone enjoy Lala. Have a good weekend. Jay and Sarah, thank you. This has been the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.